This is the MOJO, the Meaning of Life and Business podcast, where life and business intersect. Hosted by Jennifer Glass, CEO of Business Growth Strategies International and BGSI Coaching. We are dedicated to your success. Hello and welcome to another episode of MOJO, the Meaning of Life and Business. For anyone in the world who is listening to this, and even if you haven't yet listened to this, you know that cancer strikes way too many people. But very often, knowing that you can be checked ahead of time is a huge thing that so many people start to pay attention to only when it may be too late, and others really take the time to be paying attention to what we need to be doing and where we go from there. My guest today has a really incredible story. She herself is a cancer survivor, 7.5 years now since she went into remission. And it's because of ways that she was looking at her own journey. And you'll get to hear a little bit more about that as we have a conversation. But that cancer journey is a major piece of her own story, as well as her jewelry business that has allowed her to really focus in on how do we make women specifically feel beautiful, even if they may be going through a really hard time. Before I bring my guest on, though, let me tell you a little bit about her. Daniela Sokolowski is the founder of DiCuore Diamonds, a bespoke jewelry brand where she serves as a diamond and jewelry expert, helping clients tell stories and mark life's most meaningful moments through custom crafted pieces. Her approach blends high-quality, U.S.-based craftsmanship with a deep personal focus on client education. This unique perspective is shaped by her diverse background, which includes degrees in foreign languages and forensic psychology, and she's even currently pursuing a master's in law. As a breast cancer survivor, Daniela is now driven by powerful personal mission to inspire and support other women, elevate independent designers, and celebrate the beauty of purpose-driven luxury. Daniela, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. And, I have to say you have quite the background, and even going for a master's in law, that's something there.
Law and society.
Okay, law and society. So let me ask you, tell me a little bit more, because boiling down your bio into a couple of seconds really doesn't do it justice. Please tell me how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, like you said, I think you mentioned that I'm from Romania. So I moved from Romania in 2009, in October 2009. What I'm doing right now with the jewelry, I'm the founder of DiCuore Diamonds. Didn't happen until 2.5 years ago. I came like any immigrant looking for a better life, and I got a job in the diamond district. I worked for a few places, one of which is DeBeers, the biggest diamond mining company. Fast forward, I went back to school in my 30s to learn a degree, although I had another degree from Romania, but it felt like even though I went to college, nobody really cared about my degree from back home. So I decided to go back to school. Then, yes, in 2018, I got diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 1. And I would say out of nothing. I had never been sick my life before. So it was a very, very tough moment for me. And I was working at DeBeers at the time. And I was going to school too, full time. So it kind of turned my life upside down. And it took me I would say about 6 months to bounce back to at least feeling some sort of normalcy in my life. So and then I went back to working. I unfortunately, during my journey, I had to take some time off, which was something that I felt very strange about, because I never took time off in my life. And I went back to work after I started to feel better. And then I decided to open DiCuore in January 2024. DiCuore Diamonds in January 2024. When I felt that I was ready, I was already 5-year, breast cancer survivor, 5 years breast cancer survivor, which, means at least in paper that you are healed and cured. And this is when I decided that it was time for me to do something for myself alone. And of course, for
Absolutely.
others.
Thank you. So, if it's okay, I'm going to ask a little bit of a personal question here. Were you did you regularly check before, or did you realize I had something and then you went to the doctor and you went from there?
I was not even 40. I was almost 40. I was like shy, 2-3 months shy to, becoming 40. So I wasn't really thinking about going to get checked, but I was doing the self-check, like every woman. I mean, like I hope every woman does. They ask you to do it like at the beginning of the month. So I would do that regularly. So I would self-check. And I did feel something. It was very, very small, but I didn't really pay that much attention to it. Prior to that, some years ago, I had an ultrasound. So they found like little cysts. So I was, it's just another cyst. I didn't really think much of it until I went for my first mammogram. That was my first mammogram. And they called me, I'm getting goosebumps. They called me like 10, not even 10 days, I think about a week afterwards to give me the results. And they said, well, we have to schedule you for a biopsy because we found a mass. And I remember that my cell phone, like literally, I dropped my cell phone. I could not believe it. I said, but I have cysts, because this is the first impulse is to use whatever information you were given prior, to fight back, because you can't really believe it happens to you. It can happen to you, right? And yeah, so it wasn't like that I was going regularly, but I did regularly do the self-check. Yeah.
Right. And thank you for sharing that. So many women, like I mentioned in the introduction, I started screening even before I was 40 in terms of that, because again, you were told, or I was told, because I just have higher risk genetics and all of that, that I should be scanning earlier. And so I was going, and like you, had cysts and had a fine needle aspiration done many years ago. And the happened to be the chief pathologist at the hospital who did it. And he's like, yeah, it's absolutely fine. It's, all benign and everything. We don't have to worry about it. And it just drove me crazy, because every time I would go for my mammogram, they would tell me, oh, we think we see something. And so I started waiting and saying, I need to get my results before I leave. Because the whole thing about leaving, getting a note saying, we think we saw something, you have to schedule another time to come back, it just adds the angst that you're dealing with in that process. And it's like, all right, what now? And so
sorry to interrupt you, but I do the same thing now. After
yes,
I had cancer, I never leave their office. I stay there even 3 hours if necessary.
I definitely done that too. I think the longest I stuck around was like 2.5 hours, something like that, after my different scans. But the only one that I can't get the results on is the MRI, because that takes longer just to even get the read and everything. And it drives me absolutely crazy. And I drive my doctor crazy. Can you please get me the results? It's been a week already and I'm just sitting on nerves, and
I
get
know.
the results. So, and she's used to that by now. Oh,
Surprisingly, I never needed an MRI. They all, like, it was probably maybe the way because I do the 3D mammograms.
right.
The way that maybe where the my tumor was, because it was a little bit on the higher quadrant here. I don't know how they call it, the upper quadrant, whatever's left, right, because I don't know how they look at it. I think it was right, considered right. And then they probably saw it in such way that I never needed an MRI, but I heard it's kind of traumatic. Am I correct?
So the MRI that they do, at least what I've had, and that's all that I can talk to, is you go in the machine and they do 2 sets of scans. First, they do a scan regularly and you're laying down and they have you lay down with your breasts in a clip, basically, where they hold everything down and they do the scan. And then in the middle of this scan, they inject a dye, which then goes in over there, and then they do the whole thing all over again. And so, what I've been told, and I've certainly experienced it myself, is that I guess because of the increased time that you're in there and the soft tissue, instead of like when they do MRIs on different body parts, like your knee or your shoulder or something, they don't need to be doing it as strong of a radio wave. And so you literally get cooked in the MRI machine and you start sweating because the radio waves are going so much stronger, just that they can get the right scan of the soft tissue. And so it's an uncomfortable time.
And it takes
But
a long time, right?
if I remember correctly, it's about 35, 40 minutes, give or take, in the machine. I've been in the machine much longer when they needed to do, brain MRIs. So that's not as crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's still uncomfortable. Let's just put it that way. But the key here is really, again, like you were saying, Daniela, doing the self-test, right? So many of us were told, even from growing up, you have to check, you have to check, you have to check. We see our doctors, they ask, are you doing your regular checks? And a lot of us, we forget about it, right?
Yes.
And the good thing is, at least, that if you still schedule your regular care with your doctors, it's something that if, God forbid, you do end up coming down with something, they can at least deal with it. It's much better to catch it when it's stage
Absolutely.
1 as opposed to when it's a higher stage. Stage 1 is normal. What is it? DCIA?
DCIS is actually stage 0. Stage 1 is when it already invaded the tissue.
Okay.
Why it's interesting because you're just saying that, because half of my tumor was DCIS and half was stage 1, meaning that it was still confined, but it had just broken out. So what this tells me, even without being a doctor, is that had I not gone for that mammogram and waited another year, it would have been much worse. So yes, I do, and a big part of my work is, reminding women, and especially on October, every October, I remind and I reach out to my not customers, obviously, but my friends, to go and get checked, because it's very important.
Absolutely. It is so important. Self-care, self-checking, and making sure that you've got your scans are so important. But Danielle, let's kind of move on to the diamonds. So you mentioned that you used to work at De Beers, and
Yes.
now you are with your own company, DiCuore Diamonds. So
Yes.
tell us more about your diamonds, what you're doing, how you're helping folks, and all of that.
Yes, so it's a small jewelry studio. I'm located in Manhattan, Broadway and 41st. It's a little different. It's a little bit of a different experience than regular store. Actually, it's a bigger experience. Bigger difference than because I do not sell you anything that is already made sitting in front of you. I do not put that pressure on my customers. So everything is pretty much done custom, unless you want some piece that exists already in the market and you just want me to source, like say a chain. It's not like I'm going to design a chain unless it's something that doesn't exist in the market, something different weave or whatever. It's everything else I do is custom, and it does have to do a lot with your story. I mean, everything I design is a very collaborative design. It's everything I do with my customers, their ideas. I bring their ideas to life. I want their input every step of the way. We select materials together. We talk about diamonds. I do focus, as you said in the introduction, on a deeper education than just regular education that you find on the internet. So I explain people the differences between lab-grown diamonds and natural diamonds, how exactly they came about, and why is the price difference, because there's a very significant price difference between the two. And I help them make this, already stressful experience as getting engaged. I'm just giving that as an example because engagement rings are pretty much the bulk of what I do, of my designs, more than anything else, because of the nature of the business, I guess. So I try to make that less stressful. I know that I cannot alleviate completely that stress, but I can make things easier. And so far, to be really honest, I realized that people love what I do. They love this process. They love the fact that there's no purchase pressure on them. We just, they make an appointment, they can come in, or we can just do Zoom the same way we're doing right now. We talk about what they're looking for. I ask them different questions. I learn a little bit about them, but their persona pretty much. And then we move on to the jewelry design. And I help them in various ways because, for instance, gold prices are high, right? So I can help them repurpose and use something they already have and turn it into something beautiful and modern, something that, speaks to them. And it's also I believe the jewelry is very emotional. I believe that, if your grandma left you a piece and you want to, conserve that beauty, but you don't really like, the design, somebody like me can help you make something completely new while using the same diamond or even some of the metal and design something that you will wear and it's not going to sit unworn in a drawer.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's so important if you want to be able to preserve the generational connections.
Exactly.
Like you said, if your grandmother left something, it's better that it's being worn as opposed to sitting in a drawer. So I'm just curious, what's the most unique piece that you've created? And then also the most interesting piece that somebody brought you that you had to change into something different?
Well, for creation, I did make a very beautiful ring for a gentleman. It was a diamond. It was a diamond men's ring, but it was very, how should I say, kind of raw. He had a design. He had like a sketch of a design that he had been carrying in his wallet for 4 or 5 years, and nobody knew how to make it. We made that ring. It looks like sometimes somebody bit into it. It's hard to explain with words what it looks like, but it was very, very nice. A very, very nice design. And we worked quite a few months, more than a few months, about 4 or 5 months to get it done because we wanted to get the design right the way they liked it. And it took a little bit, a few trial and error, situations until we got it done. And so I did this about 2 years ago when I first started pretty much. And then people that brought me interesting stuff. Well, sometimes people bring me like a lot of jewelry, like they just dump things on my desk sometimes, and we go through, all the pieces. But I used a lot of like brooches that I took brooches that I turn into, pendants, or I can't really tell. Like it was everything is interesting because it carries the meaning, and I'm trying to use as much as possible from the original piece.
Right.
I cannot do that all the time, but I try as much as possible. Yes.
Yeah, again, like you said, sometimes you can't use everything and you want to preserve whatever you can from that in the new piece. And again, hopefully that piece can again be passed down generation after generation, ongoing, and it's something that stays in the family as an heirloom that they
Yes.
have.
And sometimes I only refurbish, right? If it's like, I repair, if there's a diamond that is chipped, I replace the diamond that's chipped. That doesn't mean that I redesign everything. If it's something that I feel it looks good and it just needs a little, not touch up, how should I say, to give it a new life, pretty much, and revive it, I do that. And I suggest that to customers. I only repurpose and I only redesign things that, are either damaged or they're really, really outdated, or the customer really hates it.
Thank you. So I want to get from a professional jeweler, what is the best way to care for your pieces?
Well, oh yeah, I get this question a lot. Well, obviously, you should not go to the beach with your. I'm gonna give you some don'ts, right? With your pieces on. Not only will the water in the ocean is pretty acidic, not acidic. That is the salt that gets very corrosive. One thing, so try to use it gently. Do not shower with it. Again, the soaps and all these chemical ingredients that we have in our soaps, shampoos are not good for jewelry. Have a fiber polishing cloth. I give that to all my customers as a gift, and gently polish them weekly. There is also like I give them like a little. Basically, it's some sort of a gentle soap that jewelers use. Like it's in a little bottle. And I also gift that it's a giveaway that I do give to my customers, and I teach them how to take care of their jewelry. But most importantly, if you, for instance, your hands are dry, I'll just give you like just a trivial example, and you put lotion on it. Obviously, that lotion is going to go under the diamonds, and over time, it's going to look dull. Also, the gold doesn't tarnish, but there is what is called the rhodium plating, which makes the gold look all that shiny and pretty, that actually wears off over time. So once a year is enough, I would say. You should bring your ring in for maintenance. I offer that to my customers. I encourage them to come back to me so I can, clean them professionally, clean the jewelry professionally. And so that's pretty much what it is. It's not really very complicated, but it's, for instance, my jewelry, I don't wear it all the time. But if you wear your engagement ring all the time, you do need that professional cleaning at least once a year.
Thank you. So let's go on, and in terms of the kinds of benefits, because in the green room, we were talking about the charitable causes that you work with. Tell me a little bit more about that. What are you doing? Who's the organization? How do you work with them?
Yes, so the organization is called We Fight Cancer Together. It's founded by a lady. I can say her name?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, her name is Allison Alexis, who's I think now 16-year or 14, 15-year, something like that, cancer survivor. And she has helped me through my journey a lot, and she's been helping women tremendously. And as anything that has to do with people giving out some money, it's not an easy task, right? To raise funds and doing things for the community with limited resources. So this lady is doing that, and she's doing that a lot. So because I experienced firsthand how much she's helped me. As soon as I was able to, I started to give back and help her, help other people, help other women. And I do not only help them, financially, but if there's, for instance, one of the survivors or one of the ladies that are going through, treatment needs support, I take my time, I meet with them. Sometimes I take them out for like lunch or, a coffee, so that I want to give them, I want to give myself as an example. I'm not saying it I'm not saying this to show off, absolutely not. But I want to give myself as an example that, things do get better. They do get better, and you get healthy again, and you're not going to be sick forever. So that's very, very important to everything that I do. And believe me, a lot of my customers find common ground with my story. They tell me my aunt had breast cancer, or my mother, or I'm not saying that I disclose that right away. It all depends. But I build some sort of a relationship with them over time, and a lot of my customers are repeat customers, so they know my story. So we, inevitably sometimes, talk about it. And it's so amazing. And like you said, there's so many women. By the way, they state it's 1 in 8 women in the United States, but I believe it's actually more than that, and some of them die without even being diagnosed. So yeah, so I try to help as much as I can, and I try to raise awareness, and I try to encourage women to get tested. Allison helps women also by finding resources to get free mammograms. I don't even know how she does all of that, but she does it. So yeah, working with them we fight cancer together is very important to me, because I know that the money that I give is going to the right place, to the right recipients, so to speak.
Absolutely. And if it's okay, I'm just going to throw in one other organization that is local here, also in the New York, New Jersey area. They're also in LA and in Florida, and that is Sharsheret, which is another
I know
organization.
Sharsheret. Yes.
Sharsheret is a great organization. I actually was friends with the founder, Rocky Shoretz. Unfortunately, she passed away a number of years ago, where she succumbed to her cancer after living many years as a stage 4 survivor, or living with stage 4 cancer, if you will. But it's another organization. They, similar to We Fight Cancer Together, they'll also do a lot of that in terms of that kind of help. And again, finding the resources, helping to educate. These are all really important aspects. In addition, of course, the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, all of those other organizations that are really trying to ultimately focus in on how do we help women get through whatever stage you might be in as you're going through this. And so definitely, if there is an organization that does speak to your heart, consider making a donation. It doesn't matter if it's the end of the year, beginning of the year. Help is needed at all times, because the people who are going through the cancer, they need the help at whatever point they're at. So if your financial donation is able to be made even now, that would be much appreciated on all these organizations' behalf. But I want to go back, Daniela. So with the jewelry, and you're working with these women and you're trying to help them feel beautiful no matter what they might be going through. And again, you said you'll go out to lunch or coffee with them. How do you show them even jewelry can still help? Like the little things, even if they're not buying from you, but it's the little things that, like, if you do it, it's going to have more of a connection, you can really feel better.
Actually, it's interesting you actually brought it up, but I do have a mini collection called Survivor. And maybe they do not buy directly, but members of their families do buy for them. And I mean, sometimes they come to me and they say, oh, that's my wife's birthstone. I want to give her something. And because a lot of the times, like you said, and especially with Survivor, not every woman wants to be reminded that she had cancer. So I do not pitch it to people. But I do know that some women would like to have that as a symbol of their triumph, right, over this disease. I also, with jewelry, I tend to give them better pricing than everybody else also, because I'm trying to help them, in that way as well. Jewelry also, like, for instance, if I got a piece, like a present from my husband, right, when I went through treatment, I feel like that would have a much deeper meaning to me. It could also bring some sad memories. I'm not saying that. So it's very, how should I say, it's very personal, like how you look at this. But jewelry in general is pretty, like, jewelry is nice. Diamonds are beautiful. Diamonds are, the girl's best friend. So I think that it does add a plus of, of happiness in women's lives. Even whether they are going through something or they are past, that difficult moment. So it all depends. Like, it all depends. But I am trying as much as I can, and I did make quite a bit of jewelry for cancer survivors already. Yes.
Thank you. And it's funny you said diamonds are a girl's best friend. very famous song, been out there for many years, but the version that immediately came to mind for me was Nicole Kidman doing that at the beginning of Moulin Rouge. And
Yeah.
definitely an incredible rendition about it. But yes. So let me ask you, Daniela, people have been listening to our conversation for the last 30 or so minutes, and they're interested in connecting with you. How can they connect with you?
Yeah, so my studio is by appointment, located in 1460 Broadway. It's Broadway and 41st Street. My social handle is DiCuore, DiCuore Diamonds with S. And yeah, my email address is Daniela@DiCuoreDiamonds.com. I work by appointment just because it's easier that way. I'm a small business, so I don't have an army of people working for me. But everybody who does any kind of jewelry with me, they work with me directly. So they get that firsthand, top-notch quality service and the jewelry because they work directly with me. And yeah, I invite you to check me out and come see me.
And again, we'll definitely put Daniela's information in the description so that you can reach out to Daniela. And again, that is Broadway, and I think you said 41st Street.
41st Street, yeah. Broadway and 41st. So it's pretty easy to come from, whether you come from Jersey or you come from Connecticut or you come from the city. There's plenty of means of transportation around. So it's pretty accessible, yes.
Absolutely. So the Diamond District right in Manhattan, New York City. And
we're not in the Diamond District. Diamond District is on 47th Street.
Sorry.
Yes, but that's better. And I'll tell you why. Diamond District is a madness. It's a madness place. Like it's completely crazy because of a lot of businesses. So I did not want to be in the Diamond District, but I wanted to be close enough because sometimes I need to pick up merchandise, go to my jewelers, and so on and so forth.
Yes. So you're more in the Times Square area in the heart of Midtown.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So again, if you do find yourself in New York City, you can definitely make an appointment with Daniela. All of her information, again, is in the descriptions that you can reach out and find out more and see how Daniela can help you with whatever your jewelry needs are. Daniela, one more question I did want to ask, and I'm curious to know the answer. And I like asking this to some of my guests. The word success, what do you consider the word to mean? How do you define it? And based on that, do you consider yourself to be successful?
Well, I think prior to having had cancer, I would have told you that success is all, professional. But for me, combining my passion, my passion for jewelry, for doing what I do, with staying healthy and happy, means being successful. Am I successful? I think yes. I do believe that there's always room for improvement for everything, from personal standpoint to professional standpoint. But yeah, I believe that if you're happy, and I'm happy with what I do as well. I'm not only happy with my friends, my family, and my own health, but I'm also happy with what I do, and I'm doing something that makes me happy. So yeah, because of that, I consider them successful.
Good, thank you. And I love, like you said, before you got sick, you would have thought it was all professional.
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And now it's very different how you look at it. So thank you. So again, really important, the biggest takeaways from today for any of the women in your life, or if you are a woman, make sure that you're getting checked. Make sure that you're doing your regular self-checks, seeing the doctors, things along those lines, that you can keep yourself healthy. Way too many women, we're focused on the family, we're not focused on ourselves. And we need to remember that we are as important, and we need to be taking care of ourselves so that we can continue taking care of everyone else. Like on the airplane, they say in the event of any emergency, put on your own oxygen mask before you put someone else's on. So again, take care of yourself, think about what you need to be doing. And for any of your jewelry needs, definitely consider reaching out to Daniela, where she can help you design a new piece or refurbish or repurpose an older piece to make it really look more like what it is that you may want to be doing for your own needs. On that note, this has been another episode of MOJO, the meaning of life and business. And again, Danielle, thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And until next time, here is to your success. This has been another episode of MOJO, the Meaning of Life and Business podcast. If you like what you heard, please consider leaving us a review, liking us, or reaching out to us. You can contact us at bgsicoaching.com and let us know what you think. Thanks so much again for listening.